Tayo po ay nagbabalik dito sa Usapang Bayan at kasama pa rin natin ang chairman ng British Chamber of Commerce Philippines, si Mr. Chris Nelson. Chris, I wanted to ask you specifically for the chamber, the British Chamber, do they have any more plans of trying to, in spite of the situation that's happening in Mindanao with the martial law being declared, are they planning to continue with whatever business developments they have on board?
Yes, definitely. I mean, first of all, I'd say actually our trade mission, which was in March, was very successful, over 50 companies. And I think even more importantly, we established very close ties with Davao Chamber of Commerce. We got great support from a local company there called Amflacor, which has multiple businesses. And we intend to keep that up. In fact, I know the Davao Chamber is running an investment event, I believe that's in July. They've invited us, and notwithstanding, I intend to go. And I think that's important, and I think it's important to keep the initiatives, because obviously, whatever happens currently, we anticipate in the future there will be a need for growth, and there is growth opportunities.
You had mentioned earlier that you don't have to be a British company to be a member of the British Chamber here in the Philippines. But what would be the basic requirements to become a member of the British Chamber?
Well, actually, we have like three different, first of all, we have a range of membership. We have a range of different companies. We have large corporates, some of those that we call platinum members. We have gold members, then we have our normal corporate members, and we have individuals. But I think we're open to most companies. There is a vetting to obviously see that there are credible companies. And we also go and encourage local companies to join us. And the reason for that is that we really here, along with this project, which is the overseas partner delivery, trying to attract companies to come in. Now, when they come in, they need distributors, they need partners. That's a lot easier if we have those people already in our chamber. And I think that adds credibility, and we can arrange meetings. Yes, it always doesn't happen, but as long as both sides feel there was a credible discussion, and if it doesn't work out this time, there's always the future. So we as the chamber wish to grow. We wish to attract more local companies. We're very grateful to have Globe, to have PAL, Meralco. These are the big names, but other local ones. And I think that only helps us in terms of what we can offer to the British companies as well as the local companies.
What are the efforts, sir, being done by the BCCP to encourage UK companies to invest in the Philippines?
So we run a variety of things. So the first is we run a series of webinars where obviously UK companies dial in. So of course we have to have it at 4 or 5 o'clock Manila time to catch them. We try to do those once a month, maybe we'll even increase those. We have various events in the UK. The embassy last year ran one called Going Global. We partner up with different chambers in the UK. I go back and meet different companies. And we also work with the Philippine Embassy and the equivalent of the Department of Trade and Investment from the Philippines. They're represented in the UK as Michelle Sanchez. Previously, it was Keith Umali. And we have very strong ties with them. So they promote events for us and we promote their events. So what we're trying to do is constantly bring up the opportunities both ways. And we do a series of events. I mean, I visited places in the UK I never went to for years.
Can I ask for your opinion on the publicized tax reform program that the government is planning to have approved in the near term? That means to say the shifting of certain taxes, like lowering the income taxes of middle class or lower middle class people, and at the same time increasing taxes in other areas, for example, sugary products, excise taxes on automobiles, and as well as fuel. So what is the Chamber's position on that?
I have to be fair, we don't have a specific position, but I'll give you our views. I think first of all, it's understandable you need to do tax reforms linked to spending plans. The key actual issue on most tax reform for the Philippines is obviously to try and make sure that the tax base widens. That's number one. I think specific industries need to look at it. Obviously, it also depends on the rate of the increase, right? For example, the car industry has been one of the growth sectors. So you have to judge what you're going to do in terms of that tax. I think also, like a lot of governments, they have to really judge in terms of what would be the negative or positive impact of that. I think to have a simplified tax system, particularly on terms of income tax, is obviously positive. But I think overall in terms of tax, what we need to look at is, can it be simplified? And can you widen the tax base? Because I think your tax base is actually relatively low as a percentage. And that may be beneficial, but the real key is if you can drive the economy and therefore drive up the GDP, that also offsets tax cuts because you get more benefit.
Well, I think you're more intimately familiar with your previous company
Yes.
and involvement. And this was done during the previous administration with the additional taxes on tobacco products. Do you think that had anything to do with the current issue that one of these tobacco companies are currently facing, in that they saw that that was an opportunity for them to sort of widen the gap between the honest taxpayers, like PMFTC, as compared to those that probably want to manipulate or manage their tax liabilities?
Well, look, I mean, I retired 4 years ago, so therefore my comments will be historic in nature. But I think not just the past administration, all administrations, the key is, can you collect what you levy? If everybody's going to pay. And obviously, and linking your point, George, in the previous administration, there was quite a sharp spike in the increase in taxes. That tends to, and it's not just in the Philippines, that's worldwide, drive what is known in the industry as called illicit trade. Now, the wider those tax rates, obviously the opportunity. Now, I have to stress, of course, that's the alleged case. It's in the papers. But in general, when you have very sharp tax increases, whether it's in the Philippines or whether it's in other countries around the world, that has tended to drive the illicit trade. And that's why when I linked it to your other point, cars example, whatever, you have to look at progressing taxes.
Yeah.
And above all else, whatever you levy, you have to have a surety, whichever sector it is, whatever part of the population, that you have a good chance you will collect that.
When the taxes were implemented, you were still the president of PMFTC?
I retired about 4 months later.
Did you notice if there was any decline in the revenues of PMFTC because of the spike in the
Well, there would be,
taxes?
again, it's a long time, I wasn't there for the entire year, but certainly there would be an impact on sales. Obviously, you can offset things with cost reductions. But again, I come back to the fact that you don't want anything going up so sharp. At the end of the day, the government also projects its tax revenues on a certain model. And that model has to be, okay, I'll increase the tax, but people, whether they're going to buy a soft drink, whether they're going to buy a car, whether they're going to buy an alcoholic product, whatever the product is, will continue at a certain level. If you get dislocation, which is too sharp, then actually you don't meet your revenue targets, whatever they were.
Well, sir, elections are going on in the UK right now. Are we expecting any policy shift? And if there may be any policy shift after UK elects its new leaders, how will this affect the ties between Philippines and UK?
Well, look, I think first of all, whoever wins, I don't see any impact for the Philippines, UK. I think that's only positive. And in that respect, really, I would just talk about Brexit. All the, barring one party, I think both Conservatives and Labour have all said that they accept the vote that took place in June 2016. I think it's only the Liberal Democrats who said, not that they're not accepting the vote, but I think they would have a second referendum. Honestly, I don't see any impact to the UK-Philippine relations. And really, for me, it's going to be a key focus because obviously the UK wants to establish and grow its trade relations with Europe, but actually with a lot of focus outside.
Sir, since we are down to our last leg, I know you have some upcoming events. Maybe you can share it to us and invite our televiewers to join you in your upcoming events.
Well, that's
They
very
may.
kind of you to say. So the first one coming up will be our joint economic briefing. So if they want to, that's at the Dusit Hotel. The other one coming up actually is the World Gin Day. So I guess I will just contrast it. For those interested in the economy, come to the economic briefing. Those interested in maybe having a more social environment, please come to the World Gin Day. We do publicise on our website all the events. We welcome non-members as well as members. And please
What
see
is your
everyone.
website?
What is it? That's a good question. The one I probably can't answer, actually.
No, maybe they can just Google that and
There'll
it'll
be
come
Google.
out.
I think it's www British Chamber.
All
I
right.
hope I got that right. And if I didn't, please correct me, viewers.
So do you have any other final messages aside from the notices?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for this interview. We really appreciate the time and effort. I'd like to just say, look, I'm proud to be in this country. I've been here 14 years. I've got strong ties to the local community through the Federation of Philippine Industries, through my school, Doma Scholar, through the bank, through obviously the British Chamber. And I'd just like to say I'm very optimistic about the future of the Philippines. And I'm very optimistic of the UK and the Philippine relations. And I'd like to be part of it.
Well, that certainly sounds like a vote of confidence for the current administration. Thank you very much. And we've reached the end of our program. At yan po ang isang makabuluhang diskusyon kasama si British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines Chairman, Mr. Chris Nelson.
Thank you very much, sir, for
Thank you.
gracing our show. Maaari niyo po kaming i-follow at i-like sa aming Facebook page, Usapang Bayan. Ako po si Rach Marquez.
At ako po si George Chua. Samahan niyo po kami muli sa mga susunod nating episodes dito sa Usapang Bayan.